Welcome back, everybody. My name's APredator54, aka Adam, coach of the McChesney Park Slowpokes, and today I bring you the UPBA non-upload division draft analysis. It's optional to record here, so I might as well, since I drafted what I believe is a really strong team. I already recorded this once before with okay graphics. I custom made myself. But then my friend Brave sent me this. Shout out to him. He made this for me. And it has mostly colors themed with slowpokes. So it's absolutely beautiful for me to use for anything that doesn't have graphics for the league. But without further ado, this you had 115 points to draft 10 to 12 Pokemon. I have it set up for 11 on the screen. Spoiler alert. But I was 4th overall pick, and I am honestly surprised that this mon fell to me. It's the monster itself with 123 base speed, and its massive attack and special attack stat. But it's also only 75 in its defenses. The Dragon Ghost itself, Dragapol. I look forward to using this thing. I didn't think I would get to use it in Gen 8 at all before Gen 9 comes around. Basically, this is Giratina, but frail. But it takes hits better than you think it does. This gets access to a wide variety of coverage moves on the special side, being Scald, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Solar Beam, Thunderbolt. I can't remember if it gets Air Slash. I'd have to double check that. But on its physical side, it gets access to Phantom Force, which goes around Protect. It gets access to Fly, Dragon Rush, Outrage, and its signature move, Dragon Darts. It's base 50, but it hits twice. So it just can be a nuke and a half. This gets access to U-Turn as well, and I believe Baton Pass for Pivot. But mainly you're going to be using U-Turn just so you can get damage on the way out, especially if an Ice, Fairy, or Dark type shows up, you just U-Turn. If you bring this in an advantage situation and you know they're going to switch into those, you U-turn. If those things are gone, you just Dragon Darts everything to oblivion. This fell to me at 4th, and I was shocked. Well, things went around to me. I was looking at Steel types and I was looking at Dark types. I was looking at Mandibus, Scizor, Excadrill, and I believe Obstagoon. But realistically, for a 2nd overall pick, which I took a shot in the dark for, I was also looking at Tyranitar as well. Well, I decided to take Mandibuzz for not only knockoff, but for defog as well. This also gets access to Toxic, Foul Play, Roost, gets a special coverage in Air Slash, Heat Wave, and I believe Dark Pulse as well. So with that having weak armor, you take a physical move as you nasty plot, get double speed, now you're +2 special attack, now you're swinging away. This is just insanely bulky on its own, being dark flying. Yes, I know I have an ice weakness right now. It's going to be a common pattern this whole draft analysis, spoiler alert. But this thing on its own is able to roost stall, get itself back up to healthy, be able to U-turn out for momentum. This even gets Brave Bird as well to hit flying types. Granted, either of these mons like Fairy as well, but it is what it is. This thing's bulky enough to take the hits and then get out of there. That, and if you lose this things that can hit this for super effective, this thing just walls you. And there's really nothing you can do about it. This also gets access to Tailwind to double my team's speed for 4 turns. So, right after this, I took this. Then Trianitar went the following pick after me, and then it shot back to me immediately. And my jaw dropped when one of the steel types I wanted went, it being Scizor. But on the way back, because I decided I have Mandibuzz, why don't I just run Sand? Excadrill made it back to me. This gets Rapid Spin. This gets Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, X Scissor, Earthquake, Iron Head, Submission for fighting types. Sorry, for other rock types. If you don't, well, you're going to be clicking Earthquake, but you get the gist of it. If I need a stronger move besides X Scissor to hit a dark type, I have Submission. This even gets access to Mold Breaker, which negates Levitate, Disguise, and other abilities that normally would be blocked by this. So, take for example, I'm against a Rotom with Mold Breaker. It has to switch out now because now it can be Earthquaked. That's amazing. I believe I also ignore moves. No, I'm not sure if I ignore moves like Flame Body or Curse Body. I'd have to look into that. But I believe this ignores, like, abilities. So this thing just hits like a truck with its base 135 special physical attack. Its base 88 speed puts it at 150. But in Sand, it's double. So this thing becomes the fastest thing alive. But you incorporate Rapid Spin as well. Really, you don't realistically always need Sand. So this thing can boost its speed as Sand's ending and just starts chunking a team. This also gets access to Subtoxic and Swords Dance, which is amazing. So it can actually be can stall in the right situations as well if you know you have the Toxic and then stay in or get out of there. So overall, this is a really good mon. It was 16, Mandibuzz was 13, Dragapol was 20. Alright, round 4 is when everybody was looking at fire types and they were looking somewhat at water types. Well, it got back to me again, and Moltres was still there, Arcanine was still there, Entei was still there, and then Volcanion was still there. Well, I'm like, I'm not really interested in a lot of the water types that are left because mons like Melodic, Suicune, Toxapex, and all this other stuff went already. So, I'm like, I'm running Sand. I want something with Water Absorb. So, I believe for 12 points, I got Volcanion, who also, most people don't know this, gets Defog. This mon gets Steam Eruption, which is, I believe, a 50% to burn the switch in or the mon in front of it, which is devastating, especially if a dragon type switches into this, or a physical grass type. Now it's burned. Realistically, nothing really wants to switch into this unless it is water absorb. This thing gets access, I believe, to Scorching Sands, Earth Power, Flamethrower, Sludge Wave, Solar Beam, Weather Ball, quite a few other special attacking moves. It gets access to one of the screens. I believe it's Reflect. And on the physical side, it can also do a chunk with Last Resort, Earthquake, Stone Edge, Giga Impact, and Flare Blitz. But it's got a base 110 attack and a base 130 special attack. But this thing gets around, I believe it's 139 or 142 speed. I had the note in front of me, but it's in the other room, so I'm not going to go get it. But yeah, that's why I got Volcanion. And then round 5 comes around. I decide, this team, I know I have removal, but what's better than removal? Something that hits hard and stops it. Shout out to Bread Pudding Official, and his original mascot was Hatterines, and then he switched all the way to the Hatinas. He absolutely loves this thing. This gets Magic Bounce, this gets access to Trick Room, access to Nuzzle, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, Psychic, Expanding Force, gets access to Future Sight. So realistically, come in, Future Sight, switch out. Now something's taking a massive hit. This, I believe, also gets access to Baton Pass, so it can momentum on its own. All in all, this thing hits so hard. This thing even gets Sword Stance if you want to run a physical set, which is really weird because it gets like Play Rough and quite a few physical moves that I didn't even know gets. So it can do that if it wanted to, or it can just sit there and Calm Mind in your face and just be the stored power variant that just doesn't die. Because this thing gets Draining Kiss, which gives you 75% of the damage back. Once it's set up, Draining Kiss, fully heal myself. Fully heal. Fully heal. Fully heal. Granted, you're not always going to be running that set, but you can just blow things back in Trick Room or use the Future Sight set. So this is to fling hazards back at my opponent, especially Sticky Webs. But with all this removal, I have one simple pair of boots and Defog, Rapid Spin, or Defog. I can get rid of them anyways. So round 6 came around. I'm like, I think I need a grass. I need a poison. I need quite a bit of stuff. But what I opted to get is Rose Raid. This gets Natural Cure, Poison Point. So if they make contact with me when they're attacking me, they have a 30% chance to poison themselves. So slap a Rocky Helmet on this, especially with them on like Urshifu, Rapid Strike swinging in. If it's not protected pads, it risks getting poisoned one of the 3 times, and it's taking damage. This gets access to Technician. Anything 60 base power or less is boosted. So moves like Weather Ball, Bullet Seed, God, what is it? I believe it gets Acid Spray and then another grass type move that's weak. I believe Aerial Ace? I'd have to double check. I might be confusing Aerial Ace with another one. But realistically, this thing hits like a truck regardless, even if it's not Technician. So with it hitting like 156 speed, that's actually pretty good for the speed tier it is. And with its high special attack, this thing's a threat. Granted, it is neutral to ground because of the poison typing and it's weak to ice. But, hey, it's going to hit things hard. But the good thing about Weather Ball is it becomes a rock type move in sand. So a fire type realistically can't switch in on this, and neither can an ice type. So that's a double-edged sword. They have to be careful on switching in on this, especially if they're trying to resist the grass type move. Realistically, they're going to want to switch to steel type in on this, which I believe Leaf Storm still chunks, which is still pretty good. I know steel's immune to poison, but that's a workaround. Round 7. It's where it starts to get interesting. Because I got my Sand Setter finally in Gigalith. This thing is incredibly bulky on the defensive side. And with its Sand Stream, boosting Rock's Spadef by like a massive chunk, this thing is just a wall. This gets access to moves like Body Press, Heavy Slam, Stone Edge, Rock Blast, Stealth Rock. It even gets access to Earthquake. And I believe by transfer it gets Explosion, which is just a nuke. Because it's got a really high attack stat as well. So high HP, high attack, high defense. But it's really, really slow, which is fine. Realistically, this is here for sand and to do damage, which I'm okay with. In round number 8, I took Indeedee, but in this league you get male and female. The male is the one that is more offensive and gets Trick Room. The female one is the bulky one that gets slightly more coverage and support moves like Screen Reflect and Baton Pass. But both of these get Psychic Surge and Expanding Force. So these things hit like a truck on their own. This is Psychic Normal, so it's immune to Ghost. But it also is neutral to fighting, but it's weak to Dark. And with Hatterene being the Psychic type it is, that thing in Psychic Terrain clicking Expanding Force with the combo of this is just devastating. I've seen it do 50 to 70% to some steel types, depending on Hatterene's investment, which is insane because steel is supposed to resist psychic. Think about that. And that's the duel here. And we got to 9 round, and I'm honestly surprised this is still sitting here because I don't have a bug or a fighting type. Why not combine them together? I'm like, Heracross is still there. But who honestly can say that you can get Buzzwole for 14 points in round 9? This was still sitting here being the monster it is. This is a ground resist. This is a ice resist. And I believe it even resists rock and fire. Well, on the defensive side, because its defense is so huge. This thing's all defense, all attack, all HP. You slap an Assault Vest on this. This gets access to Drain Punch. This thing, max attack, max defense, takes nothing from an Earthquake from Garchomp. And then it can just Drain Punch and do about 80% to a Garchomp and get half of that HP back. And it's just like, oh, now you're at full health. This gets access to, I believe, Poison Jab, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch. I'm not sure if it gets Fire Punch, though. This gets access to Darkest Lariat, which is insane, because that ignores defense raises. So if my opponent sets up with me with like Cosmic Power, well, this is going to just blow through that Psychic type. Granted, I'm not going to risk this to a Psychic type because I have the Psychic Terrain. But if I'm actually able to be set up That's fine. This even gets bulk up. So realistically, it's just going to increase its defense as it kills something while having an assault vest on, and then this thing just never dies. If you kill the things that kill Buzzwole, Buzzwole just wins. It's as simple as that. It applies so much pressure to your opponent. Round 10, I was like, you know what? Let's get some more removal. And let's get an electric type finally. I got the goodest boy in Morpeko. I love this thing. I love that it's this, and then it's got the hangry mode. And this thing in Psychic Terrain with Aura Wheel, if they have no ground, and their ground and fairy are gone, this thing is just a damage spiral because it switches from electric to dark to electric to dark, and no matter what, it's always going to be weak to fairy, bug, and ground, and also fighting. But that's easy to work around because this thing's actually, I believe, 163 speed, so it's pretty fast for it. It gets access to Parting Shot for its own momentum to decrease my opponent's attack and special attack, and then switch out into something. This also gets Rapid Spin for removal. It gets Seed Bomb, Stomping Tantrum, Crunch, and quite a few other things that hit super hard. And I believe even Super Fang. So you're going to switch into this and take 50% of your health. That's insane. And then it just Parting Shots out like it doesn't care. Okay. For example, they got a Sylveon. Super Fang. Now I'm gone. Okay. And to wrap things up, since I got 3 points left, I'm just like, you know what? Let's get another Sand Abuser. I got Sandslash. I'm like, how bad could this thing really be? I mean, it's got a really high attack, and it's bulky in the defensive side, but with 112 speed and Sand, that's still faster than most things, unless they're Scarf. So, oh, and it's my second knockoff user besides Bandabuzz, and I believe this thing also gets Rapid Spin as well. Gets access to Stone Red, Stealth Rocks, Spikes. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that with Rose Raid. That gets Toxic Spikes and Spikes. So, all in all, this thing should just hit hard. It gets access to Swords Dance and Rock Blast. So, I'm curious to see what this Sandslash can even do. And it makes me able to not always have to bring Excadrill. Especially if I know they're really strong on the ground coverage side. Especially in a weather war. I'm not going to bring Excadrill, I'm going to bring this. But all in all, that's the team. Oh, and just to wrap up, I've got several forms of priority with this team. I've got 5 removal and a hazard prevention. I've got every hazard but webs. And rarely ever do I get clerics. But I have aromatherapy in Rose Raid and Indeedee. And I have, I believe, Healing Wish as well with Indeedee and Hatterene, which is going to come in handy late game. I've got Weather Control. And I've just got some natural bulk on this team. It's going to hopefully be super hard for people to kill. I hope everybody enjoys the team. Like and subscribe if you haven't. And you guys have a good night. Peace.